started out from Memphis, boys, $2 and cents a dime. When I landed in on Hazard, boys, I did not have a shine. God knows I've been all around this world.
Welcome to the inaugural edition of Been All Around This World, a new podcast series that will devote itself to the life's work of folklorist, documentarian, and cultural activist Alan Lomax. Between 1933 and 1991, Lomax traveled throughout America and the world, collecting recordings, photographs, footage, and assorted documentation of folk music and other forms of traditional expression. He started at the age of 17 with his father, John A. Lomax, who had for several decades been fascinated by cowboy songs and lore, primarily in his native state of Texas. The Lomaxes were engaged by the Macmillan Publishing Company to go out and collect Native American songs and ballads, by which I mean songs and ballads native to America, for publication in a series of popular songbooks. At the same time, the Library of Congress outfitted them with a 350-pound state-of-the-art disc recording machine, which ran off their car's battery, to help them take down the songs orally and to preserve them in the library's burgeoning archive of folk song, what's now the American Folklife Center. Alan continued this work throughout the 30s and 40s under the library's aegis, making trips throughout the South, the Upper Midwest, the Western Caribbean, and into New England. His father John died in 1948, after which time Alan became a free agent, making recordings on behalf of a dizzying variety of record labels, broadcasters, foundations, and assorted projects. We'll be tracing all of these over the course of this series. My name is Nathan Salzberg. I'm curator of the Alan Lomax Archive at the Association for Cultural Equity, the nonprofit research center and advocacy organization Alan founded in 1983, and I'll be your host on what I hope you'll find to be an edifying and exciting and eye and ear-opening journey throughout Lomax's 7-decade career, which we're going to survey today in our inaugural episode. We'll start early in 1937, when 22-year-old Alan and his new wife Elizabeth Littleton Harold traveled to Haiti for a combination honeymoon and field recording trip. Over the course of some 3 months, they made nearly 50 hours of recordings there. This is one of Haiti's perambulating Rara ensembles, fixtures of carnival season in urban and rural areas alike, and cousins of the famous parading brass bands of New Orleans. This group is called the Rara St. Therese, and their song translates from the Creole as "I'm Stubborn." And while I'm at it, I'll tell you that our theme music was performed just a few months later, in October of 1937, by a banjo player from Hazard, Kentucky named Justice Begley, who would be elected Sheriff of Hazard the next year. Thanks for listening.
But watch out, boys, when you hang me. It's liable to injure you. God knows I've been all around this world. Well, I thought I was lost. Well, then I went over to Leland. Well, I thought I was lost. Well, I went around the corner, met my walking ball. Well, I met my walking ball, baby. I met my walking ball, sugar. Well, I went around the corner, met my walking ball. Well, it's my road, mister. Well, he promised me, sugar. Well, it's my road, mister. Well, he promised me, well, tell me my road, mister. Well, she promised me, sugar. Well, when she died, he's gonna set me free. Well, he's gonna set me free, baby. He's gonna set me free, sugar. Well, when he died, he's gonna set me free. Well, it's all blood. Well, it's all gas. Well, it's all butter. Well, it's all gas. Well, the boots up the river, turning round and round. Well, the boats up the river, turning round and round. Well, the big boats up the river, turning round and round. Well, it struck the water, when it dropped on down. Well, when it dropped on down, baby. When it dropped on down, sugar. When it struck the water, when she dropped on down. Well, it's all blood, baby. Well, it's Lord, yeah. People calling you big. Well, Lord, blood, rose, yeah. Well, Lord, yeah. Well, boys, I'm gonna jack when I get in my robe, baby. Well, I'm gonna jack when I get in my robe. Well, I'm gonna jack when I get in my robe. Baby, I'm gonna stand on the levee, I'm heading big boat blow. Well,
A timber-cutting song led by a prisoner named Walter Jackson, nicknamed Tangle, recorded by Alan Lomax at the Mississippi State Penitentiary's notorious Parchman farm in late 1947, When I Went to Leland. This recording comes from the second of Lomax's 4 trips to Parchman, first in 1933 with his father, then this 1947 visit, and one not long after, in early 1948, just after John Lomax's funeral in Greenville, Mississippi. I've always found it interesting that Alan felt like he needed to visit Parchman once more after burying his father. His last visit was in 1959, by which time the work song tradition was beginning its slide mercifully into obsolescence. The Southern state penitentiaries were, for all intents and purposes, simply recreations of the slavery time plantation, where black men were forced under the threat of torture or death to toil in inhuman conditions. What they called from can't to can't see in the morning till can't see at night. And these songs, as Lomax later wrote, quote, quite literally kept the men alive and normal, coming out of the filthy darkness of the pen and touched with exquisite musicality. They were a testimony to the love of truth and beauty, which is a universal human trait. End quote. Mechanization of agricultural work, the integration of the prison population, and the crusading work by lawyers like Roy Haber, who successfully challenged the Parchman system as a violation of the Eighth Amendment, outlawing cruel and inhuman punishment, all played roles in pushing the work songs into extinction. The Lomaxes made quite a few prison recordings in the 1930s and 40s, in states like Louisiana, Virginia, Georgia, Arkansas, and Texas. We'll be hearing much more from those collections over the course of this series. And we started out with music recorded 10 years earlier in Carrefour, Dufort, Haiti, with the Rara St. Therese performing a song that translates as I'm Stubborn. You're listening to Been All Around This World. I'm your host, Nathan Salzberg. We're making our way in this introductory episode through each of the 7 decades in which Alan Lomax made recordings, and we'll move now to the 1950s. Lomax left America in 1950 to move to London with the official intent of compiling a multi-volume LP series for Goddard Liebenson's Columbia Masterworks. These records ended up being released as the Columbia World Library of Folk and Primitive Music, the first long-playing records devoted to the world's traditional music. But this also gave Alan a chance to escape the heat of Joseph McCarthy's House Un-American Activities Committee, which had already blacklisted a number of his friends and colleagues. With the crucial support of the BBC, Lomax made extensive recordings throughout England, Scotland, Italy, and Spain, producing radio and later television shows for national broadcast. In collaboration with the great piper, singer, and collector Seamus Ennis, he traveled throughout Ireland documenting traditional music there under the aegis of Radio Éireann. We'll spend much more time in future episodes exploring this decade, its staggering diversity of music, and the influence it had on folk revivals in Britain and America alike. But for now, we'll hear one of those Irish recordings, one by the wonderful traveler singer and banjo player Margaret Berry. Born in Cork City in 1917, she made her living for many years traveling by bicycle and busking at fairs, races, markets, and pubs. The Irish folklorist Sean O'Boyle first heard her sing in Dublin in 1951 and tipped off Alan Lomax, who met her and recorded a number of great performances of her over several years. He also presented her on BBC TV in 1953, where she met her longtime fiddling collaborator Michael Gorman, with whom she became a staple in the Irish trad sessions of Camden Town. We hear the song perhaps most closely associated with Maggie Berry, She Moved Through the Fair, also known as Our Wedding Day. This has been All Around This World, a podcast presented to you by the Association for Cultural Equity and its Alan Lomax Archive. Thanks for listening.
My young love is said to me, my mother warned my ear, and my father warned slightly, for your lack of kind. As she stepped away from me, and she did say, it will not be long, dear Lord, our wedding day. As she stepped away from me, as she moved through the fair, and finally I watched her move here and move there, and then she turned home worried, with one star away, like the swan in the evening moves over the lake. Last night he came to me, she came softly, so softly she came, that her feet made no dimmer, as she laid her hand on me,
I Got a Home in Beulah Land, recorded in Williamsburg, Virginia in 1960. A performance arranged specifically for use in the soundtrack of a documentary by the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation. Alan Lomax had been commissioned to put together an ensemble that would reflect the multiracial, multicultural music that one might have heard in the colonial era in Williamsburg. Lomax invited the Georgia Sea Island Singers from St. Simon's Island, Georgia, featuring Big John Davis and Bessie Jones, among others. Multi-instrumentalist Hobart Smith from Saltville in Southwest Virginia, playing banjo there. Fife blower Eddie Young from Como in the Mississippi Hill Country, and a Miami-based Bahamian drummer named Nat Ramsey. The Georgia Sea Islands, and specifically Bessie Jones, had a long association with the Lomax family, and there are dozens of hours worth of song and story in the collections, which will no doubt return to mine over the course of this series. Been all around this world. And we heard Margaret Berry sing She Moved Through the Fair, also known as Our Wedding Day, in a 1951 recording. We'll turn now to the late 1970s and our tour of Alan Lomax's 7 decades of field recording. In 1978, Lomax spent several weeks in Mississippi with civil rights activist and folklorist Worth Long and cinematographer John Bishop, who was also Alan's nephew-in-law, married to the daughter of Bess Lomax Hawes, Alan's younger sister. The trio traveled throughout the Delta and the Hill Country, filming blues, black string band music, church services and quartet performances, tall tales and recreations of prison work songs, railroad tie-tamping songs, and hollers from the fields and the levee camps. These were the raw materials for a film produced in tandem with Mississippi Educational Television called The Land Where the Blues Began. which aired on PBS in 1979 and again in 1991 as part of Alan's American Patchwork television series. What we're about to hear is one of only 3 solo performances ever recorded by a deeply affecting guitarist and singer from Madison County, Mississippi, named Belton Sutherland, about whom very little is known. Worth Long apparently met Sutherland while Worth was canvassing the region on behalf of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, in the mid-1960s. When Worth returned with Alan and John in 1978, he apparently arranged for Sutherland to join a shoot at the farm of his neighbor and friend, Clyde Judas Maxwell, with whom Belton did some playing as well. We'll hear the second blues Belton Sutherland performed that September evening, and then attempt a representative song sample from the 1980s, the last full decade of Lomax's career. You're listening to Been All Around This World.
Would you like to play us that blues you were thinking about a while ago?
Well, I feel like hollering. Don't wanna holler loud. I got something to tell you, girl. Tell it to don't cry. I want you to love me or leave me. Anything you wanna do. I want you to love me or leave me. Anything you wanna do. Well, a strange thing happened. Someday it might happen to you. She's a brown-skinned woman, dimples in her old jaw. She's a brown-skinned woman, dimples in her jaw. If you ever had the blues, no matter how I feel, if you ever had the blues, know about how I feel. engine. Ain't got no driving wheel.
Little Margaret sitting in her high-haul chair, combing back her long yellow hair, saw sweet William and his new maid bride riding up the road so near. She threw down her ivory comb, threw back her long yellow hair, said, I'll go down and bid him farewell, never more go there. It was late in the night, they were fast asleep. Little Margaret appeared all dressed in white, standing at their bed feet. Said, how do you like your snow white pillow? How do you like your sheet? Said, how do you like that pretty fair maid who lays in your arms asleep? Very well do I like my snow white pillow. Very well do I like my sheet. Much better do I like that pretty fair maid who stands at my bed feet. He called his serving man to go, saddled the dappled roan, and he went to her father's house that night, and he knocked on the door alone. Said, is little Margaret in her room, or is she in the hall? Little Margaret's in her coal-black coffin with her face turned toward the wall. Unfold, unfold those snow-white robes, be they ever so fine, for I want to kiss those cold, cold lips, for I know they'll never kiss mine. 3 times he kissed her cold, cold hands, twice he kissed her cheek, and once he kissed her cold, cold lips, and he fell in her arms asleep.
A variant of the ballad of Little Margaret, sung in 1982 by Sheila K. Adams at the home of her great-aunt Deli Chandler Norton in the western North Carolina community of Sodom Laurel in the Smoky Mountains. One of the richest veins of old-time Appalachian ballads and love songs came from the Sodom Laurel. It produced a host of tremendous singers like Deli Norton, Brazilla Wallen, Kaz Wallen, Dillard Chandler, Lloyd Chandler, and Sheila K. Adams, who recently received a Heritage Fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts, recognizing her long career as a singer, player, and storyteller. This 1982 recording was made during a long trip through central and southern Appalachia, collecting performances and scenes for a film called Appalachian Journey, one of the 6 films that comprised the 1991 PBS series of Lomax's The American Patchwork. This has been the inaugural episode of Been All Around This World, a podcast presented by the Association for Cultural Equity and its Alan Lomax archive. My name is Nathan Salzberg, curator of that archive and your host, and I thank you for listening. We've been tracing the arc of Lomax's recording career over 7 decades, and we'll leave off where Alan left off, in 1991 on the eastern Caribbean island of Carriacou, part of Grenada, which he visited, as he did 55 years earlier in Haiti, during Carnival season. Armed with a camcorder, Alan documented the wonderful and bizarre tradition of Shakespeare Mas, in which men dressed in outlandish costumes recite monologues from Julius Caesar at one another, flogging each other when a recitation is deemed substandard. We'll hear the voice of folklorist and master drummer Winston Fleary, reciting Morellus's monologue from Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 1, and then we'll bid you farewell. Been All Around This World is a production of the Association for Cultural Equity, culturalequity.org. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll hope to have you listen next time. Take care.
Wherefore rejoice, what conquest brings you here? What tributary follows you to Rome? The grace is captive, bound your chariot way. You block, you stone, you wood, you worse than senseless things. O you hard heart, you cruel men of Rome, knew you not Pompey? Many a time and oft have I climbed up to walls and battlements, to towers and windows, yea, to chimney tops. The infant in your arms, they sought a livelong day with patient expectation to see great Pompey pass through the streets of Rome. When his chariot did appear, did you not make a universal shout? The Tiber trembled beneath your banks to hear the replication of your songs made in a conclave show? And did you not put on your best attire? And did you not call out a holiday? And did you not throw flowers in your way that come in triumph over Pompey's blood? Be gone. Gone, fall upon your knees, and pray to the gods who intermit the plagues on this ingratitude.